Hello and welcome to Berlin's 96 localities. In this episode I am in Niederschöneweide. It's a very long and complicated name, especially if you're not a native speaker. So we're gonna discover this locality today. Before we start, I would like to give you the opportunity to take a look at the map.
Niederschöneweide is in the southeast of Berlin and belongs to the district of Treptow-Köpenick. About 13,000 people live on an area of roughly 3.5 square kilometers. The locality is quite long and narrow and squeezes in between the river Spree to the north and railway tracks to the south. Besides a mix of residential areas and old industrial sites, it possesses two larger railway depots.
Okay, I hope you got some orientation now. And there's also some orientation for what's up for today. At first I'm going to go to a documentation center, a memorial site on the people that were forced to work under the Nazi regime. And I'm also going to go to the river Spree. Right behind me there's already a first highlight. If I turn around behind me, it is a gas station owned by a local football club. Union Berlin, they are playing the first league here in Germany currently, and I don't know, for me it's the first time that I see something like this, and yeah, why not, right? Okay, let's start the tour now.
Crossing the Bundesstraße 96a, which is the biggest road of Niederschöneweide, and passing by a remarkable church, I arrive at a residential quarter that looks quite nice, but has got a dark secret. Right in the middle of the quarter used to be a forced labor camp of the Nazis. Some parts of the camp are still visible and accessible for the general public.
I have reached my first stop of the day. I am in front of the Dokumentationszentrum NS-Zwangsarbeit. It's a documentation center and memorial site for all the people that were forced to work under the Nazi regime. They were not only forced to work, but they were treated badly, they were threatened by their life, they were injured, and a lot of them were also killed. So this is some really sinister place. But also I think it is very important to keep the memory alive of those dark times, because we can never be sure that they won't come back.
My first impression is that this place has an aura. Originally it were 13 barracks, some of them were modified over the time, some were taken down, but one is pretty much in the original state of 1945. You can walk around it and discover some traces of the past. Another barrack contains a hallway to give you an impression of the interior and the dimensions. Some parts of the hallway have been modified too, however. One of the reasons for modifications on the site is that during GDR times, some barracks were used for research and production of vaccines. There's one room of the original productions that you can still see. The focus on the site is the labor camp, however. A very detailed exhibition provides you information, even if you're not familiar with the topic at all. Very intelligently, the core aisle tells the story of some of the forced laborers. One of them was François Cavana, who later became one of the founders of Charlie Hebdo in France. Right opposite, you find information on people that profited of the forced labor, like Hans Benkert, part of the Siemens management during the Nazi time, or Fritz Karl Engel, boss of Berlin's rubbish collection service, who personally tortured forced laborers, something he never had to take over responsibility of.
The place leaves me somewhat stunned. I appreciate that they put so much effort in the exhibitions and that it is really interesting, but of course the topic is so serious and so sad that when you're through here you're kind of devastated. how humans can treat other humans so badly is beyond my imagination. Still, it's important to keep the memory alive, and I hope that if you have the chance to come and see these exhibitions and this site, really do so. I recommend it, and I'm proceeding now to the next stop, but this will stick in my mind.
I take the direct route to the River Spree, which lets me past Schnellerstraße. Some houses are old, some are brand new. I finally arrive at the Waterfront, and I immediately suppose that these apartments are not too cheap.
I have arrived at the banks of the River Spree, and as you can see, it's really lovely here on this sunny and bright day. Very peaceful also, not many tourists or people around. This is just a small way, a small path parallel to the river, and I will follow this way. I think there are some restoration ships over there, and I will keep you updated.
Well, the idea might have sounded great, but the reality is different. The ships are not for gastronomy, but privately owned and guarded by a fence. As the way isn't continuing too far either, I decide to turn around and proceed to the opposite direction. I see more new apartment blocks, probably expensive, some architectonically interesting, some not finished yet. I also see vast empty spaces, probably the next ones to be developed. The view is just too great. Steadily, the residential area ends and a different area begins. There are a lot of soccer grounds, some of them owned by Union Berlin, the club from the gas station in the beginning. I then discover some parts that might give me an impression on how Niederschöneweide looked in the past, some shabby promises and the ugliest gym I have ever seen. For 2 kilometers or so, there is no possibility to get to the waterfront again unless you are a rich owner of one of the apartments or a promising young soccer player. Just at the beginning of a small forest, I get the chance for a break next to the river, and soon after, my tour is finished.
I've made it all the way to the eastern border of the locality, and over here there is a military complex, and I think I am probably not allowed to show footage of that. And yeah, for me it's time to call it a day. I hope you enjoyed the tour, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Cheers.